Here's an ex-Mormon Christian explaining why people leave Mormonism, and it sounds eerily similar to why a lot of people leave Christianity.
In talking with former Mormons through the years, I find that many of them tell me that there always were certain problems in the back of their mind, things that bothered them along the way that they had suppressed. If you do say something about what bothers you, often the response is that there's something wrong with you. You can't be having questions because there's any real thing to resolve. If you're having questions and problems, it's because there's sin in your life. And that's why those of us that have left, sometimes the most frequent thing that's said to us is something like, who hurt your feelings? Or were you having a problem with word of wisdom? Well, did you ever read the Book of Mormon and pray about it? I usually find that one a little humorous.
Many of us ex-Christians have spent a lot of time in the Bible and in prayer, and yet there are always questions in the back of our minds. Now, some of us suppress those questions and doubts, while others try to explore them in a context that normally would just pay lip service to doubt. After all, many of the same people who say that it's okay to question are often the people who chalk up all apostasy to either never having been saved or having some kind of character deficiency of some sort. It can never be that the person has any good reasons to leave. And isn't it amazing that a lot of Mormons speak almost identically to the way that Christians tend to speak about apostates? And why do you think that is? Well, it's probably because rationalizing apostasy in this way is a profoundly effective method for protecting people's deeply held religious beliefs. No wonder so many people from different religions do it.
More and more we're hearing of people that are affected by the internet. For instance, one lady told me about she was going to do a lesson on the word of wisdom and went on the internet and Googled word of wisdom, and she pulled up all kinds of sites, but one of the things that pulled up was some stuff that took her to our site. And so she was slightly in shock when she found that she was on this anti-Mormon site. But the end result was she came out and became a Christian, but started from an innocent search for something for a lesson.
Sometimes the path to doubting Christianity can start with a simple internet search. In our age of unprecedented access to information, there are more resources available than ever to test and verify any given claim. Sure, people can still voluntarily create their own echo chambers, but it's much harder to impose from the outside now, as maybe had been normally done in certain circumstances. Now, when people are ready to question their deeply held religious beliefs, essentially the entire world of information is at their fingertips. And in the same way that the internet has been damaging to Mormonism, I would argue that it's equally a threat to Christianity's dominance as well. And some Christian apologists have, frankly, admitted that.
Sometimes the person starts out to prove the critics are wrong because you've given them a piece of literature or they found something on the internet, and they'll say, oh, it just can't be right. It's just obviously all wrong, and then so they start looking further. I had one man come in and tell me that he was sure that there were answers to everything we were talking about, and he said after he read days and days on the LDS Apologist sites, he realized they were just doing spin and that it really didn't answer the real fundamental problem that had been presented to the person. And so then he finally decided, well, they don't really have answers. All they can do is smooth it over and try to give a rationalization for the problem.
As with Mormons, a lot of us started off trying to prove the critics wrong. And as we delved further into apologetics, we just found more questions than answers. And in this process, we noticed things like spin, non-answers, and rationalizations. We were no longer convinced that the evidence was adequate, nor that the answers to specific objections were any good. But hey, if Christians can learn to affirm Mormons that go through this sort of process, maybe they can learn to affirm ex-Christians as well. On second thought, that probably won't happen.